Before this message found you, there were many nights when you sat in silence asking heaven why someone you trusted so deeply could turn against you. You gave your loyalty, your kindness, and your prayers to people who smiled in front of you but spoke differently when you were not there. Your heart carried confusion, pain, and sometimes even anger because betrayal cuts deeper than any visible wound. But listen carefully now, because this message is not coming to remind you of your pain, it is coming to reveal the truth that heaven has been preparing for you. The person who betrayed you thought their actions would remain hidden forever. They believed that lies would cover their tracks and that your silence meant weakness. They thought you would never discover the truth and that they could continue pretending while secretly working against you. But God is saying today that nothing done in darkness stays hidden forever. Every whisper, every lie, every secret plan has been seen by heaven. The same God who watched you cry when nobody else understood has also been watching the one who caused that pain. There were moments when you questioned yourself. You wondered if you had misunderstood the situation or if you were being too sensitive. The enemy used confusion to make you doubt your own intuition. But deep inside, something kept telling you that the story was not complete and that there was more happening behind the scenes than what you were being told. That quiet voice inside your spirit was not imagination. It was divine awareness protecting you. God allowed you to feel that discomfort because your soul recognized what your eyes could not yet see. The betrayal you experienced was not an accident. Sometimes God allows hidden intentions to reveal themselves slowly so that you can clearly see who truly belongs in your life and who was only there for their own advantage. The person who betrayed you may have acted friendly, supportive, even loving at times, but their heart carried motives that were not pure. They were watching you, studying your life, and quietly competing with you while pretending to stand beside you. What they did not understand is that when someone chosen by God is attacked, heaven itself becomes involved. You may have felt alone in that situation, but you were never truly alone. God was observing everything patiently, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth in a way that no one could deny. There is a divine timing for exposure, and that time is approaching faster than you realize. The person who betrayed you believed they were clever. They thought their manipulation was invisible and that their words could control how others saw you. They tried to twist situations so that you would appear guilty while they looked innocent. But the more they tried to hide the truth, the more they unknowingly created the evidence that will expose them. God does not need human tricks to reveal lies. Truth has a way of rising to the surface naturally. Soon situations will begin to unfold that you did not plan and could not predict. Conversations will happen where your name is mentioned, and suddenly the story that was hidden will start making sense to the people around you. Those who once doubted you will begin to see the truth with their own eyes. This exposure will not happen because you fought back or tried to prove your innocence. It will happen because God is stepping into the situation. When God decides to reveal something, no person, no lie, and no deception can stop it. The same people who once believed the false story will start noticing the cracks in the betrayer's behavior. Small details that were ignored before will suddenly become obvious. Patterns will become clear. Words spoken in secret will find their way into the light. And when that moment comes, you will not need to say anything. Your silence will speak louder than any defense. The person who betrayed you may try to deny the truth at first. They may attempt to shift blame or create another story to escape accountability. But lies cannot stand forever in the presence of truth. Eventually even they will realize that the web they created has become too complicated to maintain. This is the moment when everything begins to unravel. God is not exposing them to entertain your anger or to satisfy revenge. The exposure is happening to restore your peace and to protect your future. When someone carries betrayal in their heart, they cannot walk beside your destiny without eventually causing damage. That is why God sometimes removes people by revealing who they truly are. It is not punishment for them alone. It is protection for you. You may have spent a long time asking God why the betrayal was allowed in the first place. The answer is deeper than you think. Sometimes God allows a person's true character to reveal itself so that you will never again place your trust in the wrong hands. The pain you felt became a form of spiritual training. It strengthened your discernment and taught you how to recognize sincerity from deception. What once felt like a heartbreaking loss will eventually become a powerful lesson that protects you for the rest of your life. When the truth finally comes out, do not allow bitterness to take control of your heart. The greatest victory you can have over betrayal is peace. While the person who hurt you struggles to explain their actions, you will be standing in quiet strength knowing that God defended you without you having to fight. That kind of victory is far greater than revenge. There is also something important you must understand about the season you are entering. Exposure is only the first step. After the truth is revealed, new doors will begin to open in your life. Relationships built on honesty will replace the ones that were built on manipulation. Opportunities that were blocked by hidden jealousy will start appearing. The same people who once underestimated you will begin to recognize your strength and integrity. God has been preparing a shift in your life, and the removal of betrayal is part of that process. Think about how many times you felt like giving up during the moments when the betrayal first became clear. There were nights when your mind replayed conversations again and again, trying to understand where everything went wrong. You questioned your own decisions and wondered if trusting people was a mistake. But even during those moments of weakness, you continued moving forward. That resilience is something the person who betrayed you never expected. They believed that their actions would break your spirit completely. Instead, those same actions made you stronger. God watched how you handled pain without turning cruel. You could have chosen bitterness, gossip, or revenge, but you chose patience and faith. That choice is the reason heaven is now moving in your favor. The exposure that is coming will not only reveal their betrayal but also reveal your character. People will see that while someone else was spreading deception, you were maintaining dignity. While someone else was plotting secretly, you were focusing on growth. This contrast will speak louder than any argument. Many people think justice only happens in courts or through human authority, but divine justice works in ways that are far more powerful. God does not rush the process because perfect timing makes the truth undeniable. If the exposure had happened earlier, some people might have dismissed it as misunderstanding. But now the situation has matured to a point where the evidence is impossible to ignore. When the truth surfaces, it will connect many events that once seemed unrelated. People will begin saying that they should have noticed the signs earlier. And at that moment you will realize that God's delay was not abandonment. It was preparation. The person who betrayed you may feel shocked when their actions become known. They believed they had complete control over the narrative. But the moment truth appears, control disappears. Their words will begin to contradict themselves. Their confidence will fade because lies require constant effort to maintain. Truth, on the other hand, stands peacefully on its own. While they struggle to defend themselves, you will experience a quiet sense of closure. The heavy weight that betrayal placed on your heart will finally begin to lift. This moment is not only about them being exposed. It is about you being freed from the emotional burden you carried. Forgiveness will become easier when you see that God handled the situation perfectly. You will understand that protecting your peace was more important than proving your innocence. As the days move forward, you may notice subtle changes in how people treat you. Some who once kept distance will approach you with respect. Others may apologize for believing the wrong story. Accept these moments with humility, but do not allow them to inflate your ego. Remember that the real victory is not public validation. The real victory is the peace that comes from knowing that God sees everything. Your life is entering a new chapter where authenticity will replace deception. The betrayal you experienced will no longer define your story. Instead, it will become a testimony of how truth eventually overcomes lies. And as you continue walking forward, remember this message: the person who betrayed you thought they were writing the end of your story, but God was only beginning a new chapter. The exposure that is coming is not just about revealing them, it is about elevating you into a life where honesty, purpose, and divine protection guide every step you take from this moment forward. God is saying that the moment of truth is closer than you think, and the same person who once smiled in your face while secretly working against you is now entering a season where nothing can remain hidden any longer. For a long time you wondered why the situation felt so heavy in your spirit. There were days when you sensed something was not right, yet you could not prove it with clear evidence. That feeling inside your heart was not weakness and it was not imagination. It was the quiet warning of your spirit trying to show you that someone around you was not who they pretended to be. The betrayal did not begin suddenly. It started with small actions that seemed harmless at first. A strange comment here, a hidden jealousy there, a moment when their words did not match their behavior. You may have ignored those signs because you believed in the goodness of people and you wanted to trust the relationship. But the truth is that some people hide their real intentions behind kindness until the right moment arrives for them to benefit from your trust. This is why the pain felt so deep when the betrayal finally became clear. It was not only about what they did. It was about the realization that someone you once trusted had been pretending all along. Yet God is saying something very important to you right now. The betrayal was painful, but it was also a revelation that protected your future. If the truth about that person had remained hidden, they might have continued walking beside you while secretly blocking your blessings and opportunities. Sometimes God allows a person's real character to be revealed through their own actions so that you will never again mistake deception for loyalty. The person who betrayed you believed that they were gaining something by hurting you. Maybe they thought they were protecting their own position, gaining attention, or preventing you from moving forward. But what they did not realize is that when someone tries to harm the path of a person protected by God, they are unknowingly placing themselves in a position where their own actions will eventually bring consequences. The exposure that is coming will not be loud or dramatic in the way people expect. Often the truth reveals itself quietly through situations that cannot be explained away. Someone will notice a contradiction. Another person will remember something that suddenly makes sense. Conversations will begin connecting pieces of the story that were once scattered. Slowly but surely the truth will form a clear picture that no lie can cover anymore. When that moment comes, you may feel a mixture of emotions. Part of you might feel relief because the truth you sensed in your heart is finally visible to others. Another part of you may feel sadness because it confirms that the betrayal was real. Both of those emotions are natural. Healing does not happen instantly, but exposure is the beginning of that healing process. God is reminding you that the purpose of exposure is not to keep you focused on the past. It is to free you so that the past can no longer control your future. The person who betrayed you may try to return with explanations once the truth begins to surface. They may say they never intended to hurt you or that the situation was misunderstood. But deep inside you will recognize that some actions cannot be explained away with words. True loyalty does not operate in secrecy. Real support does not require hidden agendas. The clarity that comes with exposure will help you see the difference between genuine relationships and those built on convenience. One of the most powerful things about this moment is that you will not need to chase justice. God is handling that part for you. When people see the truth for themselves, your reputation is restored naturally. You do not need to argue, defend yourself, or prove your worth. Your actions, your patience, and your character have already spoken on your behalf. This is one of the greatest forms of victory because it comes without bitterness or conflict. While the person who betrayed you struggles to explain their actions, you will be stepping into a new level of peace and clarity. Think about how much emotional energy you spent trying to understand the betrayal. Your mind replayed conversations, analyzed behaviors, and searched for answers that never fully satisfied your heart. That mental weight is something many people carry for years after betrayal. But God is saying that your season of confusion is ending. The truth will remove the uncertainty that kept you questioning yourself. Once everything becomes clear, you will realize that trusting your instincts was never a mistake. In fact, your intuition was guiding you long before the truth became visible. Another important thing you must understand is that the exposure of this betrayal will also change how you see yourself. For a long time you may have felt like the victim of someone else's actions. But as the truth unfolds, you will begin to see your own strength more clearly. You survived something that could have broken your confidence completely. Instead of becoming cold or suspicious toward everyone, you continued believing in honesty and goodness. That resilience is a sign of inner strength that many people never develop. The person who betrayed you underestimated that strength. They believed that their actions would define your story. They thought you would remain stuck in the pain they created. But what they failed to understand is that God writes the final chapter of every story. And in your story, betrayal is not the ending. It is simply the moment that reveals who truly belongs in your life and who never deserved to stand beside you. As the truth continues to unfold, you may also notice that new opportunities begin appearing in places where you once felt blocked. Sometimes hidden jealousy or manipulation can quietly slow down your progress without you realizing it. When those negative influences are removed, your path becomes clearer. Doors that once seemed closed will begin opening. Connections with honest and supportive people will grow stronger. The removal of betrayal often creates space for better relationships and greater blessings. This is why God allowed the truth to surface now instead of later. The next stage of your life requires clarity and freedom from people who do not support your purpose. The exposure you are about to witness is not just about revealing someone else's actions. It is about realigning your life with people and opportunities that match your true path. In the coming days or weeks, pay attention to the changes happening around you. You may hear unexpected information that confirms what your heart already suspected. Someone may approach you with details that bring everything into perspective. Or circumstances may unfold that reveal the truth without anyone needing to say a word. However it happens, the message remains the same: the person who betrayed you cannot hide behind deception forever. Truth is moving closer with every passing moment. When that moment finally arrives, remember to protect your peace. You do not need to celebrate someone else's downfall. Simply recognize that justice has taken its natural course. The best response to betrayal being exposed is quiet gratitude for the protection that God placed over your life. While others focus on the drama of what was revealed, you can focus on the new direction your life is taking. The future waiting for you is far greater than the betrayal you experienced. And this is why this message found you today. Not to reopen old wounds, but to prepare your heart for the moment when truth finally stands in the light and you realize that God was defending you even during the times when you felt completely alone. God is saying that what was done in secret is now entering a season where it can no longer remain hidden, and the same person who thought they could silence the truth is about to watch that truth rise in ways they never expected. For a long time you carried the quiet weight of betrayal in your heart. You did not always speak about it because you knew that explaining the pain would require revealing parts of your life that others might not fully understand. There were moments when you questioned whether anyone would even believe you if you tried to explain what really happened. That is the difficult part about betrayal. It often hides behind a mask of normal behavior, making the victim appear confused while the betrayer continues pretending everything is fine. But God is saying something very clear right now: silence does not mean the truth disappeared. Silence was simply the space where God was preparing the right moment for the truth to reveal itself completely. You must understand that divine justice does not operate on human impatience. When something unfair happens, people naturally want immediate answers and instant correction. But God often allows time to pass because time reveals patterns that a single moment cannot show. The person who betrayed you believed that if enough time passed, everyone would forget what really happened. They thought distance would erase the evidence of their actions. What they did not realize is that time actually works in favor of truth. As days and months pass, lies become harder to maintain. Stories begin to contradict each other. People begin to notice behaviors that once seemed insignificant. And slowly the mask begins to slip. The exposure that is coming is not just about revealing what someone did. It is about revealing why they did it. When the truth begins to unfold, others will start recognizing the jealousy, insecurity, or hidden competition that motivated their actions. People will see that the betrayal was never about your weakness. It was about their inability to accept your strength. There are individuals who cannot celebrate the growth of someone else. Instead of improving themselves, they try to slow down the person who is moving forward. The person who betrayed you may have felt threatened by your potential, your character, or the attention you were receiving. Instead of supporting you honestly, they chose deception as a way to protect their own position. But deception always carries a hidden cost. The moment a person chooses to build their advantage on lies, they also begin building the circumstances that will eventually expose them. God is reminding you that your integrity has been your greatest protection. Even when you were hurt, you did not respond with the same kind of betrayal that was used against you. You could have spread your own stories or attempted to damage their reputation in return. But you chose restraint. You chose dignity. And even though that choice sometimes felt lonely, it placed you under a level of protection that the betrayer never had. When truth stands beside integrity, it becomes unstoppable. This is why the coming exposure will feel so powerful. It will not depend on your effort to prove anything. It will happen because the contrast between truth and deception will become impossible to ignore. People who once believed the wrong narrative will begin noticing the inconsistencies they overlooked before. They will start asking questions that the betrayer cannot answer convincingly. And slowly the story that was built on lies will begin collapsing under its own weight. At first, the person who betrayed you may try to maintain their image. They might continue pretending that nothing is wrong. But inside they will begin feeling the pressure of the truth approaching. Lies create constant anxiety because the person telling them must always remember what they said before. They must constantly adjust their behavior to avoid revealing contradictions. That pressure becomes heavier over time, and eventually it reaches a point where maintaining the lie becomes impossible. When that moment arrives, the truth will step forward naturally. You might be surprised by how calmly the situation unfolds. Instead of a dramatic confrontation, the exposure may happen through simple realization. Someone might discover information that connects everything together. A conversation might reveal a detail that changes how people understand the past. Suddenly the story that once seemed confusing will make perfect sense. And when that clarity arrives, you will see that the truth did not need loud arguments to win. It only needed time. God is also preparing your heart for something important during this moment. When betrayal is exposed, there can be a temptation to feel satisfaction at the downfall of the person who caused your pain. But true healing comes when you allow the exposure to bring closure instead of revenge. The purpose of justice is restoration, not bitterness. The more peace you carry during this process, the more clearly others will see the difference between your character and the character of the person who betrayed you. In many ways, your calm response will become the strongest evidence of who you truly are. While others may react emotionally to the situation, you will stand in quiet confidence knowing that God has already handled what needed to be handled. Another powerful change will happen inside you as this chapter closes. The betrayal that once made you question your ability to trust will transform into wisdom. Instead of becoming suspicious of everyone, you will simply become more discerning. You will recognize sincerity more quickly. You will notice warning signs earlier. And most importantly, you will value relationships that are built on honesty rather than convenience. This growth is one of the hidden blessings that often comes from painful experiences. The person who betrayed you may never fully understand the impact of their actions. They might spend years trying to repair their reputation or explaining themselves to others. But you will not be responsible for that journey. Your responsibility is only to continue moving forward with clarity and strength. As truth clears the path behind you, new opportunities will appear ahead of you. God often removes people from our lives not only because they hurt us but because they were standing in the way of something greater. The space left behind by betrayal can become the space where better connections, greater success, and deeper peace enter your life. Imagine how different your future will feel when you are surrounded by people who genuinely celebrate your growth instead of secretly competing with it. That environment allows your potential to expand freely. This is the environment God is guiding you toward now. The exposure of betrayal is simply the final step in removing what does not belong in your next chapter. As you continue listening to this message, remember that the truth has its own rhythm. It may appear slowly at first, like light appearing at the edge of the horizon before sunrise. But once that light begins spreading, darkness cannot stop it. The same truth that has been quietly gathering strength behind the scenes is about to rise into full clarity. When that moment comes, you will not need to look for validation or approval. The peace inside your heart will tell you everything you need to know. You will understand that the betrayal which once felt like a devastating loss was actually a turning point leading you toward a stronger and more honest life. And as the truth continues unfolding, you will realize something even more powerful. The person who betrayed you thought they were closing doors in your life, but God was using that very situation to open doors that no deception could ever keep closed.